qualities. Sunil Bhai is a very good human being, in fact. So whenever I get the opportunity, I definitely talk to him. And despite of all his busyness and all his busy schedule, in fact, he gets time for us. So you see, Indian knowledge system is one of the most important theme of this National Education Policy 2020. So yesterday we invited another professor, Professor UC Vashishta from Lucknow University. I think he deliberated and elaborated an overview of Indian knowledge system. The another theme of then sub theme in that sub theme of Indian knowledge system is vocabulary of IKS, and I think Sunil Bhai is the most suitable person to do the needful. So his complete CV, I mean his PhD CV is like a PhD thesis. I mean he has worked a lot, in fact, contributed a lot. So it's not possible for me to tell all those things in just 3 to 4 minutes. So his complete CV is available on the web page of the Department of Education at Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. So if you want to know something more about Sunil Bhai, definitely you can visit the web page and you can know more. At this juncture of time, मुझे लगता है कि इतना इस छोटे से इंट्रोडक्शन के साथ मुझे सुनील भाई का और समय ना लेते हुए इस सेशन को उनको हैंडओवर कर देना चाहिए. सो सुनील भाई, इट्स ओवर टू यू.
थैंक यू सो मच. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. आपने कम शब्दों में इतना ज्यादा कह दिया कि उसका अंश मात्र भी सिद्ध करना मुश्किल होगा.
सुनील भाई, आप जरूर करेंगे, आई एम क्वाइट श्योर.
बेसिकली वी ऑल आर learners about Indian knowledge system. It is like unfathomable ocean. So प्रारंभ में ही उपनिषद से एक श्लोक आपको मैं सुनाता हूँ. उसी के साथ हम लोग विषय में प्रवेश करते हैं. ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहे तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहे. And this is a slok from Taittiriya Upanishad, which is before you. It is from Brahmavalli of Taittiriya Upanishad. And particularly the meaning of this slok goes on like this. We all should learn together. We all should basically gain our strength together. Om Shahna Vavatu Sahnao Bhunaktu. We all should gain it with a sense of sacrifice. We all should consume it with a sense of sacrifice. And basically, all types of birya labh or potency should be attained together. And this togetherness is by the teacher and the student. It also goes on to say that whatever we learn, whatever we study, it should be full of all illumination. It should be bright in itself. Then it also says, let us not bait each other. We should not be jealous of each other and we should not bait each other. And towards the end it says, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All three types of deviations or realities in our life, they should be harmonized, they should be in balance. So this is the basis of all thought of Indian culture, of Indian knowledge system. And particularly this slok has been said here in Brahmavalli at page 94 in the book published by Gita Press. And it also goes on to say several other things in this Upanishad. And all seekers in higher education, they should try to read and comprehend this Upanishad to the extent they can. Particularly the National Education Policy 2020 is goes on to say in the beginning itself at page 4 that these rich legacies to world heritage must not only be nurtured and preserved for posterity but also researched, enhanced, and put to new uses through our education system at page 4 unquote. भारतीय जो विरासत है, भारतीय जो परंपरा है, इसको पोषित करने की जरूरत है, इसको संरक्षित करने की जरूरत है, भावी पीढ़ियों तक पहुंचाने की जरूरत है, इस पे शोध करने की आवश्यकता है, इसको और आगे ले जाने की आवश्यकता है और नए प्रकार के उपयोगों में शिक्षा पद्धति, भारतीय शिक्षा पद्धति में इसको ले जाया जाना चाहिए, ले आना चाहिए। अब उदाहरण के लिए जैसे मैंने ये कहा कि उपनिषद, दे आर ट्रेजर्स ऑफ नॉलेज बट दे हैव बिकम आउट ऑफ कॉन्टेक्स्ट, they are not in the syllabus in most of the places, and there are several verses, several words which are basics to our culture. Just to give information, the word siksha, it is not education, it is something different. You should look at Taitri Upanishad to explore it. The word convocation, samavartan, it should be explored again with reference to the goodness of life, to the best abilities for social use in life. And we should revisit Taitri Upanishad. We are doing it rudimentarily in several institutions of the country, but it should be researched, enhanced, and put to new uses. Similarly, there are other things also we should think in our surroundings and in the traditional literature also. Other things like which have been mentioned at page 5 and NEP, it goes on to say a rootedness and pride in India and its rich, diverse, ancient, and modern culture and knowledge systems and traditions and its forward looking aspirations to be incorporated where relevant in an accurate manner and form an anchor and source of inspiration for all education. In the last about 200 years in particular, we have been totally alienated from the Indian roots because the whole plan, the whole policy was to uproot you from your roots. And particularly, as it has already been said in the book by Dr. Dharmpal, a beautiful tree. The Indian society, the Indian education system, the Indian education is just like a beautiful tree. And this tree has been uprooted. इनकी जड़ों को ही खोदने का प्रयास किया गया है, लगभग खोद भी दिया गया है जिससे कि यह सुंदर वृक्ष ही सूख जाए। तो इसका परिणाम ये हुआ कि आज हम अपनी चीजों को पूरी तरह से संदेह के साथ देखने लगे हैं, and we are in a state of apathy, we are in a state of alienation. Therefore this policy goes on to say that we should incorporate Indian thought, Indian tradition in accurate manner and form and anchor it as source of inspiration for all Indian masses. सभी भारतीयों के लिए उनकी भूमि में, उनके देश में और उनकी संस्कृति में गर्व की अनुभूति होनी आवश्यक है. This is at page 5. Further at page 6 you will say, you find that in NEP 2020 it has been mentioned to instill among the learners a deep rooted pride in being Indian. You are living in India and still you are talking of everything else except Indian and India. तो राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति ये भी कहती है कि आपके भावों में गहराई से भारत के प्रति प्रेम होना चाहिए, भारत के प्रति गर्व होना चाहिए. Further, it goes on to say, not only in thought, but also in spirit, intellect, and deeds. It means you should not only think, you should not only theorize, but it should be reflected in your spirit, in your intellect, the way you discuss, the way you explore, the way you propagate, and it should also be reflected in your deeds. आपके कर्म में भी अभिव्यक्त होना चाहिए. And this further goes on to say that it should instill among the learners a deep-rooted pride in being Indian, not only in thought, but also in spirit, intellect, and deeds, as well as to develop knowledge, skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living, and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. तो हम ये भी कह सकते हैं कि ये सारा का सारा लक्ष्य जो है इस पे केंद्रित होना चाहिए कि हम एक ऐसे वैश्विक नागरिक का निर्माण करें जो कि मानव अधिकारों में भी में आस्था रखता हो, समर्पित हो, उनके मूल्यों में वो परिलक्षित होता हो, और साथ ही जो सतत विकास और सतत जीवन शैली के श्रेष्ठतम गुण हैं, उन गुणों का उसे ज्ञान हो, उसके प्रति कौशलों में उसके विकास हो, उसके मूल्यों में वो परिलक्षित हो, और उसकी मानसिक वृत्ति में भी वो झलकता हो. तो इस तरह से राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति प्रारंभ में ही यह घोषणा करती है कि हमें पूरे देश का उन्मुखीकरण, पूरी शिक्षा व्यवस्था का उन्मुखीकरण इस तरह से करना है. जो भारतीय ज्ञान तंत्र है, जिसको कि IKS या इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम के रूप में भी आप जानते हैं, इट्स जस्ट लाइक ए बेनियन ट्री. एक विशाल बरगद के वृक्ष की भांति है. बरगद का वृक्ष इसलिए यहाँ पे कहा जा रहा है क्योंकि इस वृक्ष की जड़ें कहाँ हैं और कहाँ तक हैं, यह पता लगाना बहुत आसान नहीं होता है. कारण यह है कि एक प्राचीन बरगद के वृक्ष में जिस तरह से हर शाखा एक जड़ का रूप ले लेती है और उस विशाल बरगद के पेड़ को अवलंबन प्रदान करती है, उसी प्रकार से भारतीय ज्ञान तंत्र और भारतीय ज्ञान तंत्र के अंतर्गत विभिन्न प्रकार के शास्त्र, ज्ञान की शाखाएं इत्यादि हैं. उनमें मूलतः जड़ों के संदर्भ में कोई भेद नहीं है. तो ज्ञान और व्यवहार की इस गहराई को जानना और पहचानना अत्यंत आवश्यक है. मूल रूप से अगर हम बात करें तो भारतीय जो ज्ञान परंपरा है, इसके समस्त शब्दों की उत्पत्ति वेदों से होती है. वेदों का तात्पर्य है जानना, यथार्थ को जानना, टू नो रियलिटी. इसी तरह से आप ये देखेंगे कि वेदों का जो ज्ञान है वो मूल रूप से छन करके उपनिषदों तक आया है, और उपनिषद मूल रूप से वह ज्ञान है जो कि गुरु के नजदीक बैठकर संवाद के द्वारा, अनुभव के द्वारा, विचार विमर्श के द्वारा, अनुभूति के द्वारा ग्रहण किया गया है. तो भारतीय ज्ञान की जड़ें जो है वो वेदों में भी हैं, उपनिषदों में भी हैं, और श्रीमद् भगवत गीता, दैट इज द सॉन्ग ऑफ द रियल आत्मा एंड परमात्मा, उस यथार्थ का वो ज्ञान है. तो इस तरह से हम ये देखें कि जो भारतीय ज्ञान की जड़ें हैं वो वेद, उपनिषद और श्रीमद् भगवत गीता में हैं. रूट ऑफ ऑल, इसी तरह से अगर इन विचारों के मूल में अगर आप देखें, तो इन विचारों के मूल में आप ये देखेंगे कि एक श्लोक है, ओम ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वम यत किंच जगत्याम जगत तेन त्यक्तेन भुंजिथा मा गृधः कस्यस्विद्धनम. It means the whole of creation which is manifest before us, all that is covered by or filled with God. And we all have to consume things with the sense of sacrifice. Nothing in this universe will remain with a single person. So, this has to be comprehended by all of us. Basically, there are two types of things in Indian thought. Variety of thoughts are there, but genesis of all thoughts are from these questions. What kind of universe are we living in? हम किस तरह के ब्रह्मांड में रह रहे हैं? And the another question is, what kind of life is worth living in this universe? इस ब्रह्मांड में किस प्रकार का जीवन जीने योग्य है? तो इस इन प्रश्नों की समझ या उसकी ऊहापोह करने की आवश्यकता है. Basically, we'll talk about certain important terms which have also come in the literature and practice. For example, what do you mean by gross body? The description of gross body has been done in Vivek Chunamani. It is published by Gita Press in Hindi. It goes on to say, famous as me and mine, and the shelter of bondage in this body is known by knowledgeable as gross body. जिसे कि हम मैं या मेरे के नाम से जानते हैं, और समस्त प्रकार के मोह या समस्त प्रकार के बंधनों का जो वो मूल है, जिसको कि हम स्थूल शरीर के रूप में जानते हैं, दैट इज ग्रॉस बॉडी. एंड बेसिकली देयर इज अनदर एस्पेक्ट, सूक्ष्म भूत. दिस सूक्ष्म भूत, it consists of what? There are 2 points. Number 1, आकाश, वायु, तेज, जल and prithvi. These are sukshma bhut. These are subtle bodies which are not easily perceivable in form of concrete. So these parts intermingle and mix together to form the basis, hetu of gross body. Ultimately, different combinations or amalgamations of sabal bhoot or sukshma bhoot lead to development of the gross body, and ultimate reflection of the gross is based on the intermingleness of different components of the sabal bhoot. Then there is another term, space. It is said that Brahma created space first, and it is also referred to as ether or space or akas, which means empty space. Thus, sky is the name of empty space. Any empty space, even the empty spaces inside a body, they are called as akas. Similarly, there is another term in this vocabulary. This word is made of Panch Mahabhut or 5 gross elements. They are also referred to as Panch Tattva. You might have heard Kshitijal Pavak Gagan Samira Panch Tattva Yah Bana Sharira. It is all reflection that human body is made of these 5 gross elements, and deficiency of any one of these in our body causes dahik tap and reflection of diseases in various forms. Then there is another term in the vocabulary, air and fire. Air or vayu is created from akas. Air has two attributes. air touch or sparsh along with sound. So, two qualities of air are sparsh and shabd, touch and sound. Similarly, fire is the third element, and fire is also referred to as tej. It is created from vayu, and its attribute is form, roop, along with sound, shabd, and touch or sparsh. Similarly, the fourth element is water or jal. It is created from tej, and its attribute is taste, ras, along with form and sound and touch. The last element is earth or prithvi. It is created from jal, and its attribute is order, gandh, along with taste, form, sound, and touch. So you will find that one element is subsequently giving rise to another, and the fifth element is having variety of attributes which are emanating from the previous one also. Similarly, there is another term, panch tanmatra. The five subjects which are related to Panch Mahabhut, they are called as Panch Tanmatra. They are namely number one, sound or shabd. It is the subject of element space. Second is touch or sparsh. It is the subject of element air. Third is form or roop. Is the subject of element fire. Taste or ras is the subject of element water, and smell or gandh, this is subject of element earth. So there is another term after panch tanmatras. These panch tanmatras are basically fuels to the different elements. Then tanmatras, it's tanmatras or subtle potential elements which are differentiated and rudimentary to further produce the gross elements. These are consumed by the bonded jeev as subjects, vishayas, totally five in number. These vishayas are shabd, ras, gandh, roop, sparsh, which are five sense perceptions of senses. They are basis of sensual pleasures. Similarly, this gross body is produced by Panchikrit Bhutas according to previous karmas. This body is gross form of consumable for the Atma. Its consciousness is called Jagrat status, which leads to experience of gross forms. And the external senses consume the various forms. This gross body is the real medium through which external world or Jagat is perceived by shelter of Jeev on the gross body. Similarly, the another term in IKS vocabulary is these are 10 senses. Gyanendriya, it is a Sanskrit word created by joining Gyan or knowledge and Indriya or organs. These are these are also called sense organs due to ability to perceive corresponding tanmatras. Panch tanmatra resides in each of these organs. These are considered superior to the karmendriyas, which are action oriented organs. So you can designate them like this. The Gyanendriyas are ears or karn. They have ability to perceive sound since the akas element. Skin or twacha. Then third is eyes or chakshu. They have the ability to perceive form since the tej, light element is prominent in their construction. Then tongue or rasna has the ability to perceive taste since the jal or water element is prominent. And nose or nasika has the ability to perceive smell, since the Prithvi or earth element is prominent in its construction. Then come karmendriyas. Karmendriyas, they literally mean organs of action. All actions are performed by them. Every human being is endowed with 11 sense organs. These are 5 Gyanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, and a mind. The 5 Karmendriyas or actions, organ of actions are walk or speech, pani or hands, pad or feet, vai or excretory organs, upasth or organs of reproduction. These have been called karmendriyas because they are the indriyas or sense organs responsible for variety of actions. So we have to think what is the root of these karmendriyas. Karmendriyas are the products of the rajas aspect of fine tanmatras as follows. Akas or ether or space gives rise to walk. Vayu or air gives rise to pani. Agni or fire gives rise to pad. Apas or water gives rise to payu. And Prithvi or earth gives rise to upas. So next term in the vocabulary is Antahkaran Chatushthay. Since Antahkaran, a component of Sukshma Sharir, subtle body, it has 4 functionalities, that is Manas, Man, Buddhi, Ahankar, and Chit. They are described as Antahkaran Chatushthay. Means all 4 constitute the Antahkaran Chatushthay, and they are important in handling of the human gross and subtle body. Similarly, there is another term in the vocabulary, Sukshma Sharir or Linga Sharir. It has emerged from Panchikrit Bhutas. Captured by calm, it enables one to experience the karma phalas. It is not knowing the real Sarup, hence it is perceived as holder of Atma. The following complete set of 8 are known as Sukshma Sharir, like 5 Karmendriyas, 5 Gyanendriyas, 5 Pranas, Panch Bhutas, Antakaran Chatushthay, Avidya, Kam, and Karm. They all are designated as Sukshma Sharir. Then there is another term also, Panch Pran. It is designated with 5 names owing to differences in the vritti of the pran. The acts of breathing, that is inhalation and exhalation, they are related with vritti of the pran. Jumping, sneezing, shivering, taking jamhai, hunger, thirst, all are dharma or of prana. So there are 5 types of pran: pran, apan, vayan, udan, and saman. They handle various types of actions in our body. So these are certain terms in the IKS vocabulary. This was first part of this lecture. Now we will be briefly focusing on second part of our lecture. IKS integration is in thought and practice in Indian society. So we said in the beginning that Vedas are the roots, and the Vedic thought, the thought of Jainism and Buddhism, they are basically related to the ancient Indian roots. And basically it has been also reflected in the form of epics and the Purans. And the period of darshans comprising of Nyaya, Vaisesik, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, and Vedanta, they are also reflections of the ancient Indian systems. So the basic elements of Indian philosophical tradition, they derive from the teachings of Vedas, Jainism, Buddhism, and Darshanas. So ancient roots have to be comprehended basically in these terms. Certain concepts which have been key concepts in form of vocabulary, theoretically, in form of practice in Indian thought are like the concept of Purusharth. Basically, the concept of Purusharth goes on like this. Purusharth are values which human beings seek either for their own sake or as a means to the achievement of a further end. It is based on the realization that your desires constitute the source of human action. The life of man centers around certain basic desires, and the Purusharths have a gradation, with each value constituting a preparatory stage for the realization of the succeeding one. So, they are basically related with the right way of living to discover how should we lead our life. The Indian thought is very practical in resolving the problems of life, and the terms in the vocabulary or practices in Indian life are basically the different ways to resolve the problems of life. So, Indian society has been practicing the real life according to these ideals only. So, there are certain purusharth, the earth or economic value, that is the instrumental value, and the satisfaction of various types of desires is calm or pleasure. Pleasure is an intrinsic value, for it is desired for its own sake. So it is also said as a secular value. Earth, calm, these are jointly termed as lower order purusharths. And similarly, there are higher order purusharths also. The dharma and moksha are considered as higher order purusharths. Basically, dharma and moksha are spiritual values, and they are also known as moksha in particular is known as param purusharth. It determines what one ought to do in different life situations in accordance with the best moral code. The acts these act as regulating principles of life, and hence they are very important. Dharma and moksha, being supreme spiritual values, are higher than the physical values of earth and calm. Basically, dharma itself is an important value, and the word dharma comes from the root three, which means to hold or to sustain whatever is good for your sustenance or to hold you in your real form. That is dharma. As Mahabharat puts it, dharanath dharmyahu dharmen dharete praja. Literally, dharma means that which holds a thing and maintains in its being. Every form of life, every group of men has its dharma, which is the law of its being. Similarly, the concept of moksha is also important in Indian thought. It is termed as param purusharth, and it sums up the aim of life in the Indian philosophy. Moksha is the absolute value in that it can never become the means to any other end, for there is nothing higher than the moksha. It is eternal in nature. There is no reversion or lapse from it once it is attained. Moksha is the supreme end of life. It is not just an ideal, but it is attained through the practice of vairagya, nishkam karma, or dhyan. The life of one who has attained such freedom, that is full of vairagya, nishkam karma, and dhyan, he is termed as Jivan Mukt, and it is characterized by universal love and selfless action to achieve universal good. We are aspiring to create global citizens in NEP 2020. So, such citizens should feel about universal good. They should have universal love. They should have selfless action. In Indian thought, ashram dharma and varnashram dharma, which are reflections of practice of dharma, are also important. The ethical ideal of dharma is reflected in form of ashram dharma, that is the obligation and duties appropriate to different stages of life. Usually, the life consists of 100 years of span, and this 100-year span has been distributed in the form of different ashrams. Then there is one ashram dharma, which refers to obligations and duties associated with one's varna. Dharma is an all pervasive moral value in Indian thought. It refers to virtuous action. Adharma is voice, and the ideal of dharma found its social application in the concept of ashram dharma and varnashram dharma. Similarly, there is another concept in the Indian vocabulary, that is doctrine of karma. It can be broadly defined as the law of cause and effect, and it is applied to the moral life of man. Everything happens in the moral realm governed by the law of karma. According to the law of karma, a right action inevitably produces a good consequence of the same in the same way as a wrong action produces a bad one. So it is also seen in form of merits and demerits, pap or punya. The performance of duty or prescribed action signifies dharma, or dharma can also be seen in the form of virtue in the soul, and it produces a punya, merit. Violation of duties or commission of a forbidden action implies adharma or vice and produces a pap or demerit. Virtue and merit produce happiness. Vice and demerit lead to misery. Merit and demerit are adrisht, they are unseen forces which mature in the course of time and bear fruits either in this life or in future life. Belief in karma has thus come to constitute one of the main obstacles sometimes in the social reforms if you are not able to understand them properly. So, important features of Indian thought is recognition of a single principle running through the life. So, this is another term. This is unity of all life and being, which has been perceived by Indian tradition. There is one single strand or single principle running through the whole of existence. This reflects the unity of all life and being. Upanishadic messages Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. Truth is one, and wise men call it by different names. This is the Saman Bonam, highest good, or man's life is to realize this ultimate unity through one or many of the various paths which he can follow for the purpose. Similarly, there is another term, that is tolerance. Tolerance is still another value which is ours by inheritance. And we can notice a remarkable unity or spirit running through Indian culture down the ages, across the world, across the land. The law of karma states that every action of man will inevitably bring its consequences. So live and let others live. It has been the philosophy of Indians in all spheres of the time, here or there. So, all social traditions, all cultural traditions are basically reflections of Indian thought. And the ideal man of India is free man of spirit. He is not man with the riches. He believes in universality, humanism, toleration, development of individuality, that is holistic development of individuals, what is said in the NEP 2020 also. It believes in development of well-rounded individuals, the practice of Satyam Shivam Sundaram, the Vasudev Kutumbakam, unity in diversity. All these are the terms which are not only theoretical but reflected in practice in Indian individuality and Indian thought. So, Indian cultural tradition also reflects Sarv Dharma Sambhav, respect to ancestors, cultural assimilation, hospitality, the values of Abhaya, Hinsa, and Asang. And we can say that the sole motive of Indian culture is Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Shantu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadranu Pashyantu Ma Kashit Dukh Bhag Bhavet. May all sentient beings be at peace. May no one suffer from illness. May all see what is auspicious. May no one suffer. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is in brief about some of the terms of Indian knowledge system, that is vocabulary of Indian knowledge system, the practices related to Indian knowledge system. Now the session is open for questions. Whatever questions, queries, or whatever you want to suggest, clarify, you can discuss and clarify. Session is open for queries.
सर नमस्कार।
Very good afternoon.
सर मैं डॉक्टर अजय सिंह जयपुर से। मेरा
जी।
सर एक शुरू से कौतूहल भी रहा है और एक प्रश्न रहा है कि महाभारत जब सीरियल आता था या रामायण आता था
जी।
तो उसमें सर दिखाते थे कि एक ऐसा जो है जैसे बर्बरीक इशू के बारे में दिखाया गया था कि बर्बरीक के पास 3 बाण थे और जो पहला बाण था वो वहां पे जाके एक निशान बना देता था जहां जहां भी वो जिन लक्ष्यों को वो साधते थे, और दूसरा बाण जो है उन लक्ष्यों को डिस्ट्रॉय कर देता था। तो इट्स टाइप ऑफ गाइडेड मिसाइल या गाइडेड सिस्टम। तो क्या सर ऐसा रहा होगा उस समय? क्या इतना उन्नत विज्ञान या रिसर्च रही होगी? एक कौतूहल बना रहता है, तो उसी के मैंने कहा कि आपसे उसका समाधान या आपसे उसके बारे में पूछा जाए।
देखिए, बहुत अच्छा सवाल है आपका और बहुत व्यवहारिक भी है। मूल रूप से लोग पूछते रहते हैं इस तरह के सवाल। देखिए, आपने प्रोफेसर एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम का नाम सुना होगा। He has been one of the exemplary persons in Indian thought and practice. और उन्होंने ये कहा कि एंशियंट इंडिया वाज ए नॉलेज सोसाइटी। प्राचीन भारत एक ज्ञान आधारित समाज था। आधुनिक दुनिया अभी कोशिश कर रही है ज्ञान आधारित समाज बनने की, बन नहीं पाई है। जिस समाज में ऐसे उच्च कोटि के महाग्रंथ रचे गए हों, जिसमें कि आप रामायण और महाभारत, जिसका कि आज तक न कोई काट है, न कोई सानी है, न कोई पैरेलल है, न क्रिएट हुआ है। आई डोंट नो भविष्य में हो पाएगा कि नहीं हो पाएगा। इट इज ऑल पावर ऑफ द वर्ड्स। अगर आपके पास आज भी, आप जानते हैं कि मैंने शुरू में ही, सत्र के शुरू में एक बात कही थी कि शिक्षा क्या है। मोस्ट ऑफ अस हैव बीन मिसगाइडेड, टोटली मिसगाइडेड। अगर तैतृय उपनिषद में आप ये देखेंगे, ये भी आईकेएस वोकैबुलरी का ही पार्ट है। किसी से भी पूछेंगे, इर्द गिर्द नहीं बताएगा। शिक्षा का मतलब ही होता है कि अक्षर जो हैं, उन अक्षरों का अर्थ क्या है, किस अक्षर की संहिता किससे हो सकती है, कौन से अक्षर किस उच्चारण के साथ बोले जाने चाहिए। तात्पर्य है, मैं बताना ये चाह रहा हूं कि शब्द बहुत शक्तिशाली हैं। आप किसी से कैसे बात करते हैं, वह उस तरह का व्यवहार आपका परिलक्षित करता है। और जानते हैं, आपकी शब्द ही अनर्थ भी करते हैं। तो इट इज ऑल पावर ऑफ द वर्ड्स। भारतीय जो ये शब्द हैं, जैसे ऋषि है, मुनि है, मनीषी है, विप्र है, ये उस तरह के शब्द नहीं है जिस तरह से आज अनाप शनाप तरीके से हम उपयोग में ले आते हैं। ये शब्द सिद्ध शब्द है। दे रिफ्लेक्ट द रियल रियलाइजेशन इन डे टू डे लाइफ। और वो शब्दों की शक्ति है, वो रियलाइजेशन की शक्ति है। तो हम ये देखें कि इस शक्ति को हम डिग्री के रूप में थोड़ा बहुत अर्जित करते हैं तो क्या रिफॉर्म आ रहा है। हम सभी लोग अच्छी अच्छी तनख्वाहें पा रहे हैं। हम जानते हैं कि हमारे व्यवहार क्या हैं, हम अपनी संस्थाओं में कैसे जीवन यापन करते हैं, किस तरह से समाज को सुख या दुख देते हैं, व्यवस्था को कैसे सुख या दुख देते हैं, ये हमारे ज्ञान या अज्ञान पे निर्भर करता है। मूल रूप से मैं ये बताना चाहता हूं कि ऐसे ही वोकैबुलरी में और भी शब्द हैं, जैसे विद्या और अविद्या। विद्या क्या है, अविद्या क्या है? आप अगर सभी लोग अपने अपने विश्वविद्यालयों के सूत्र वाक्यों को देखें तो वहां बहुत प्रकार के शुद्ध वाक्य, सूत्र वाक्य हैं जो कि हमारी प्राचीन शब्दावली से लिए गए हैं। लेकिन उन शब्दों का अर्थ आप अपने ही संस्थाओं में पूछें तो विद्यार्थी और छात्र दोनों ही कोई नहीं बता पाएगा, और कई बार तो कुलपति को भी हवा नहीं होगी कि व्हाट इज द मेन थीम ऑफ दिस इंस्टीट्यूशन। तात्पर्य क्या है? संत ऑगस्टीन ने एक बात कही थी, उन्होंने ये कहा था कि इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू कॉम्प्रिहेंड द मीनिंग ऑफ द वर्ड्स दे क्रिएट नॉइज। अगर शब्दों का अर्थ आप नहीं समझते हैं तो आपके अंदर क्या उत्पन्न करेंगे? कोलाहल उत्पन्न करेंगे। और जानते हैं कि कोलाहल से बीमारियां होती है। आज लोगों के अंदर मेंटल एंजाइटी, डिप्रेशन, ये सारी चीजें कोलाहल का परिणाम है। तो अगर हम शब्द की शक्ति को समझें तो हम मंत्र की शक्ति को समझ सकते हैं। और अगर मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी को उसके साथ कोरिलेट करें तो जिस तरह से हमने फिजिकल पावर को आज डेवलप किया है, इट वाज इन द पास्ट दैट द पावर ऑफ द माइंड वाज मोस्ट डेवलप्ड। ऑल फिजिकल डेवलपमेंट इज ऑल्सो रिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ द पावर ऑफ द माइंड ओनली। जो सूक्ष्म है, सूक्ष्म की शक्ति को हमको समझना पड़ेगा। भारतीय मनुष्यों को सूक्ष्म की शक्ति का ज्ञान था और इसलिए उन्होंने उस शक्ति का उपयोग किया और एक ज्ञान आधारित समाज का, जो कि एक प्रोडक्टिव और प्रोग्रेसिव सोसाइटी थी, एक पीसफुल सोसाइटी थी। वरना इतना अच्छे श्लोक कहाँ बनते हैं? सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः कहाँ बनते हैं? ओम सहना भवतु ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वम। ये तो भाषा की शक्ति है। भाषा तो अभिव्यक्ति का माध्यम है, लेकिन शब्द की शक्ति और भाषा की शक्ति ये हमको समझना पड़ेगा। और अगर हम इसको समझ पाएंगे तो हम समस्त प्रकार के कोलाहलों से अपने को मुक्त कर पाएंगे और मूल तक या उस जड़ तक, अपनी जड़ों तक पहुंच जाएंगे। विल बी एबल टू सीक प्राइड इन बीइंग इंडियन एंड बीइंग प्रैक्टिशनर ऑफ दैट प्राइड। ठीक है ना? मेरे ख्याल से आप अपना उत्तर समझ गए होंगे।
जी सर, बहुत शुक्रिया सर।
बहुत लोग तरह तरह के गाने भी सुना रहे हैं, क्वेरीज भी करें तो अच्छा होगा। Looks like his speech is silver, silence is golden. So people know about various things they don't know. Because next half an hours they are all for interactions only. Anything you like to share, you can share. Any query, misunderstanding, any comprehension, anything. So Mr. Mandal, you are from where? So if there are any queries, please share, or honorable coordinator may then close the session if there are no queries. And if you like to have PPTs of these Particular lectures, they are also available on the academia website. You can look into that. All PPTs are available there.